Senate screens 7 ministerial nominees, questions per minister. National Assembly expresses commitment towards enacting legislations that will guarantee greater inclusion of women in governance structure. Plus, lawmaker x-rays envelope system in annual budgeting and economic planning. Good evening and welcome to NTA Parliamentary News. I am Ene Ojanuba. Parliamentary News begins as the Senate this Wednesday conducts the screening of ministerial nominees appointed last week by President Bola Tinubu. The 7 ministerial nominees, comprising 4 men and 3 women, are Nentawe Yiwada, Muhammad Megeri, Bianca Ojukwu, Yusuf Abdullahi Atta, Idi Mukhtar Meha, Jumoke Oduwole, and Suwaiba Ahmed. The exercise is in compliance with the provisions of Section 147 of the Constitution. The ministerial nominees have already been designated portfolios. Details will come to you subsequently. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, alongside heads of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, and some distribution companies met the Senate Committee on Power, assuring Nigerians of restoration of power to communities affected by recent power outage. Answering questions from the legislators at the hearing, the regulators and operators insist that investment and proper coordination in the power sector are key to overcoming present challenges.
Just put the blame where it should be. What is your role between you and this group? That's what we want to know, so that we can pin them down.
Under World Bank project, under African Development Project, under even Islamic development, we borrowed huge sums of money and sunk it into the power sector. And you are talking about aging infrastructure.
We here on this side, we want to find a solution to this incessant and recurring system collapse. It doesn't happen in most countries. Even smaller countries that will go, our neighbors here, they don't have system collapse. So what do we do?
The northern blackout was not due to technical grid collapse. It was vandalization. And we have explored alternative routes of supplying power, which is the Bauchi route, which was also vandalized anyway, but that one is easier to fix. And we are saying within the next 2 to 3 days, there will be light restored to the north.
I know what we used to get in the budget. So the power system needs a lot of money to do so many things. We want to build more transmission line so that if there is a problem with one line, we can switch to the other.
What is happening today is that when you have a fault, instead of localizing the fault within the area where it occurred, it tends to propagate a wider scale. And what TCN needs to do is to go nationwide and make sure that all their protection systems are properly coordinated so that faults are localized.
Meanwhile, Senate has approved the reimbursement of 15.1 billion naira through promissory notes to Kebbi state governments. Also approved as requested by President Bola Tinubu is the reimbursement of 9.5 billion naira to Nasarawa state governments. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports. The approvals, as recommended by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, are for projects undertaking. These are the construction of Sir Ahmadu Bello International Airport in Birnin Kebbi and the cargo airport in Lafia.
The Federal Bureau of Public Procurement has ascertained and certified that the due process were followed accordingly. The federal government has also been doing the same in respect of some rules constructed by various state governments. That encourages the state governments to go into some of these laudable projects, which ordinarily the federal government may not have money instantly to undertake.
Senate has passed the NDIC Act Amendment Bill,
which seeks to strengthen the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation.
The proposed amendments will enhance the NDIC's capacity to safeguard depositors, ensure the stability of the financial institutions, and promote trust in the banking system.
The Deputy President of the Senate had, while presiding as plenary, said efforts are being made to restore electricity supply to the northern parts of the country.
Electricity is taken to the northern part of the country was vandalized by terrorists. The security agencies are putting their hands together to get to that spot and try to eradicate or take away the threat.
Senator Diket Plank brought to the notice of the Senate the alleged murder in Anambra State of 5 of his constituents and urged the state government to investigate.
Doing their manual work in Anambra, but unfortunately they were rushed, killed, 2 were injured, and at the end of the day, no investigation has taken place.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Still on the Red Chamber, the 10th National Assembly says it is committed to putting in place a legal framework that will enable effective budget preparation, enactment, implementation, and oversight, as well as support the Students' Loan Program introduced by the federal government. President of the Senate and Chairman NILD's Governing Council, Godswill Akpabio, stated this in a message at the 8th convocation of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies in collaboration with the University of Benin. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
These are 65 postgraduate students convocate in various courses in NILS from the University of Benin. 56 are for postgraduate and 9 who studied higher national diploma. They have completed master degree in law and legislative drafting, master in legislative studies, and postgraduate diploma in elections and political party management. Other courses include HND Parliamentary Administration, official reporting, among others. Senate President Godswill Akpabio, represented, says the Parliament is aware of the global advancement using artificial intelligence. This is in the areas of educational system and explore opportunities in artificial intelligence to optimize human capital development.
Supporting the education sector through increased funding will therefore enable our country to record significant transformational changes. This is why the 10th Senate has continued to support policies such as the student loan program and to take other initiatives towards addressing out-of-school children.
You must use what you have learned to serve, to lead, and to inspire. Your success will be measured not only by personal achievement, but by the positive impact you create in the lives of others.
The academic programs offered by NILS in collaboration with its partners are helping to close the knowledge gap and capacity needs in the national governance sectors. Parliaments across Africa and beyond are also seizing the opportunity offered by NILS to enhance their knowledge in specific areas of legislative and democratic governance.
A clarion call was made, urging the graduates to remain worthy ambassadors of NILS and keep the flag flying in all their present and future endeavors. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
In another development, Senate is making another push to revive Nigeria's steel and related industries. Investigation by a Senate ad hoc committee took the lawmakers to Ajaokuta Steel Company and the National Iron Ore Mining Company, Itape. National Assembly correspondent Isa Mohammed has details.
Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited was established in 1979 under the then President Shehu Shagari administration with the core mandate of steel production to fast-track industrialization. At 98% completion, it became a dash hope as its early small-scale fabrication and iron rod production appears to be the only sign of life in the mega factory. Efforts of the current administration and commitment of the 10th Senate to revive the company are seen as promising. Walking the committee around the moribund facilities, the acting chief executive, Kanwal Atons Joseph, says the management is implementing measures despite challenge of funding and other logistics to bring life to the company's production line.
Now we are making efforts to put things in order.
The committee observes that at the moment, the company only carries out periodic maintenance.
My assessment of what I've seen so far is that I must confess that I'm amazed by the level of investment that I have seen. We look at Ajaokuta, be able to marry the physical structures in Ajaokuta with the write-ups that have been submitted to our committee.
If that once this steel complex is up and running, there will be thousands of jobs that will be created, and it will stimulate the economy such that most of the materials and products that we import today from India, from China, and even South Africa, that will be able to produce them in here.
The story at the National Iron Ore Mining Company, Itakpe, was no different as management of the facility took members of the committee round. Though management of the company is optimistic of a turnaround.
Yeah, our expectation is to see this place producing so that Nigeria will be counted as one of the steel producing nation.
Ajaokuta and it is sort of intertwined in terms of their business pursuits and objectives. But it's clear to me that given the challenges of Ajaokuta at this point, that this place can actually function whilst Ajaokuta is being put together. And I tell you why I say so. The product of this neogum is something that the entire steel industry utilizes. And there are so many steel mills in Nigeria. So I see no reason why this can't be revamped. And whilst Ajaokuta is being looked into, it can produce and sell as a commercial venture.
What we should take positively is that the natural resources are still on ground. They have not been destroyed. So that means all we need to do as a country is put our heads together, put our acts together, and intentionally begin to resuscitate and revive the steel industry. You cannot separate in totality the National Iron Ore Company from Ajaokuta. So simultaneously, we need to encourage the federal government, who will then attract the necessary private investors so that we can collectively resuscitate these plants for the greater good of our country.
The committee witnessed illegal mining activities in the forests within the National Iron Ore Mining site because the perimeter fence was not available.
From Itakpe, Kogi State, Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
It is now time to pause for some messages. The news continues shortly.
Are you looking for a short channel to make your business, goods and services go viral? Look no further, as NTA Parliament is your short channel. Take advantage of our wider reach and advertise your products and services on NTA Parliament DSTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, StarTimes channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. For more inquiries, contact the Marketing Department, NTA Parliament, NTA Headquarters Area 11 Garki, Abuja, or call these numbers 080-383-40464 or 080-770-78055. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
You are watching NTA Parliamentary News, reaching you from the nation's capital city, Abuja. You can follow the platforms on the screen for this broadcast and other updates on NTA Parliament channel. The National Assembly has expressed strong commitments towards enacting legislations that will guarantee greater inclusion of women in governance structure in Nigeria. Speaker, House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas gave this pledge at the International Legislative Dialogue on Women in Nigeria organized by the House Committee on Constitution Review. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikpen reports.
Women representation in governance in Nigeria has been low despite their population and influence across various sectors. The National Assembly, for instance, currently has only 20 out of 469 seats occupied by women. Speakers at this legislative dialogue on women and constitution amendment process attribute the situation to perception and institutional barriers which must be dismantled.
If we trust women to shape our homes, nurture our own families, and educate our children, we must also trust them to contribute to shaping our nation's future. I have directed the Constitution Review Committee to focus on reforms that promote gender equity and provide additional or reserved seats for women in our legislative bodies.
We must ensure that the national and state houses of assembly are inclusive and welcoming to women.
Just as justice is blind, so too must our laws, appointments, and opportunities be gender neutral.
There is indeed no shortage of intelligent, ambitious, and capable women potential leaders in Nigeria, but multiple obstacles hinder their leadership aspirations and candidacy.
Reflecting on constitution amendment antecedents, participants stressed the need for state legislatures to key into the resolve of federal lawmakers to guarantee inclusion for women in elective and appointive positions.
Our commitment is essential for driving the change that women in Nigeria so rightly deserve.
Thank you for leading that conversation, Mr. Speaker and Deputy Speaker, around dedicated quotas for women.
We hope that after today's conversations, we will go back with stronger legislations and stronger gender policies that will be specific.
The event climaxed with a statement of agreement to support constitution amendments that will promote special seats for women in national and state assemblies, as well as gender equity in the Federal Character Commission. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives is investigating the funding structure for MDAs in the national budget amid growing demand for exemption from the envelope budget system. An interface between House Committee on National Planning and Economic Development as well as institutions of government was convened on the issue. National Assembly correspondent Joshua Ogunjide has details.
The interface seeks a robust budget for government institutions different from the envelope regime, which over time has been a source of concern. Hence, the clarification on the statutory power of each of the over 1,000 MDAs in relation to the annual national budget.
Please refer this committee where the revenue, where your funding is granted.
The council may receive donations and gifts and may engage in fundraising activities, but no funds may be raised outside Nigeria without the prior approval of the minister.
The House Committee and even the Senate are already working on the review of the UBEC Act.
The fears of the staff members are that if something happens, for instance, if there is disruption in academic calendar and there is no admission that year, where would they get their salary from?
This act has been coming and going like a beaker of polishing, and it has not got this final approval, and I'm pleading.
This is actually within this and other agencies that not warrant us to be available.
The committee says there will be no backdoor passage for defaulters.
NBRRI, please note that the committee has resolved that until we establish their status, legal status, they should be number one on our recommendations to the House. On no account should they appear on the national budget for 2025.
This amendment, according to stakeholders, is pertinent in its dimensional review of budget ceiling and development of a research framework. The committee is expected to submit its findings and recommendations to the Green Chamber for consideration and approval. From the National Assembly, Joshua Ogunjide, NTA News.
To elaborate more on the essence of the investigation, I'm now being joined by Member, House Committee on National Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Bayo Balogun. You are welcome to Parliamentary News.
Thank you very much.
To start with, what does the envelope system in annual budgeting entail?
Well, the envelope system is one of the budgetary processes now being used. It involves agencies having a particular amount allocated for them. Because when it comes to budgeting system, you have the zero budgeting system where everybody comes up with what you need. Okay, it's like we are starting on zero ground. This is what I will need for this year. Some you do incremental system where if you are giving 10 naira this year, next year they will give you 12 naira. But what we will do now is an envelope system where you are giving this amount. Whatever amount you are giving, you now devise a means of allocating in-house within your own agency or ministry. So you know that you have 10 million. So whatever you want to do must be within your 10 million.
Why the call for this amendment and why now?
No, the amendment we are doing is not about the envelope system. Yes, normally they've been getting the envelope system. But what we are doing is that most of the agencies in their act, it was not specific that they should get appropriation from the National Assembly. And if it's not stated, one, the National Assembly can deny you funding. Number two, there's nothing mandating the National Assembly to check your books, because if you don't give me money, you don't check my books. And because some of them can decide to spend what they get from the IGR without appropriation. It's a different thing getting money, it's a different thing spending it. So some agencies make their money, make IGR, but before you can spend that money, it must be appropriated for. So it is that area that we are enforcing now, that it must be in your act that money you spend are money appropriated for by the National Assembly. Even the IGR? Yes, because you shouldn't be able to spend your IGR if it's not appropriated for. It's like a money coming in. Normally that money goes to the revenue of the federal government. Your IGR is not your own. It's the money going to the federal government. The money we are spending is IGR from one agency. Tax is IGR from the revenue tax board. FIRS makes its own. Immigration makes their own money. Custom makes money. Many agencies makes money. Whatever is IGR for them is the revenue the federal government puts together to spend. So if you decide to just spend your own, what goes to the federal government at the end of the day? So we want to ensure that whatever you make, unless it's also provided for you in your act to take any percentage of that IGR, then that will now be considered in the appropriation. If you have been told to take 2 billion from your IGR, or maybe 10% of your IGR. So whenever you are bringing your appropriation, you estimate, you make a projection for what you'll be taking from your IGR and make it as a source of revenue coming to you and present to the National Assembly for spending. Because if they don't give you go ahead to spend, if your budget is not approved, if you spend, that you are committing a crime, because the budget is the act of the National Assembly and is a law.
Reviewing budget ceiling and development of resource framework seems tasking, considering the current restructuring of parastatals of government. How is the committee working with the executive towards achieving this?
Yeah, if you are talking about looking at the ceiling, yes, some agencies believe what they have is small, and they believe some agencies are getting better than them. So the ceiling is like, if you are given an envelope is your ceiling. It's like reviewing the system, but it is only when more money comes in before you can be talking about reviewing it. Because You might think your own agency is very important. There are more agencies that are more important than your own agency. And before the envelope is done, many things are put into consideration. Priority of the federal government as at now. If the priority of the government is education this time around, more money will go to the education sector. Better envelope will go to them. If it is health gets more. That doesn't, because it's an envelope system. It varies year by year. Like I share the electoral matters which INEC is under. During election year, the INEC budget gets so big. But other years where there are no election, although there's no year that you don't have election in Nigeria now, because there'll be off-cycle election, but there won't be general election. So on the general election, on the year of election, it's a different ball game. But other years, it will be different. So that's why it's seasonal. So many other agencies too are seasonal. We are talking about tourism. We are talking about if for example there is an a challenge or epidemic, for example, you see how the health sector budget will go up. The envelope will go up immediately. So the federal government must decide what you get, and when they now give you, then you now go and break it down into your running costs, recurrent, capital, and all the rest. So the envelope is the maximum you can spend.
Thank you for your time, Honorable Bayo Balogun. You're welcome. In an effort to streamline and simplify land administration matters in the states, the Kano House of Assembly has amended the Kano State Sectional and Systematic Land Titling Registration Bill 2024. The final passage came during plenary after a series of consideration at the Committee of the Whole. Samira Hamisushira completes the story.
According to the provisions of the bill, the Commissioner of Land shall have the powers to charge fees, services rendered in connection with land administration, prescribe and review rates, and maintain information on rents payable and paid in accordance with Land Use Act or other state laws.
Now, the bill provides for the division of land for building intersection and common property, and for the acquisition of separate title in section company with joint title in common property, the control of certain incidents attached to separate title only in section and jointly in common property, and for other systematic titling and restoration of land and effective implementation of the relevant provision of the Land Use Act and for the other matters connected herewith is hereby passed.
The House has been adjourned to Monday, the 4th of November 2024. From the Kano State House of Assembly, Samira Hamisushira, NTA News.
That's the size of our bulletin at this time. For more updates, kindly follow NTA Parliament on the platforms scrolling on your screen. Thank you for watching and have a pleasant evening. I am Ene Ojonuba. Bye for now.